You know how we do. We do not hold the people. We keep them in tune. It's the Hood Mystic, represent www.hoodmystic.com. There I go, my man Honcho. We do this every week. It is the Wednesday weekly astrology chat, and you got your you got your
Yeah, let me get it situated. I got you.
You
That's
good,
right.
you good, you good. So yeah, man, we back. Today we got a real special episode. Every episode is a special episode. But we really tying in some loose knots and making this thing make sense. So we dealing with Vedic astrology, Sidereal astrology, and one of the most important parts of that is the nodal axis. In Vedic astrology, they call it Rahu and Ketu. And so if you don't know, Rahu deals with the material world, your future, your manifestations. And then we have Ketu, which deals with the spiritual world. Now, Rahu presently is in the constellation of Gemini. And so we come into you representing that twin energy. You see the twin lions, representing on Mercury day. Mercury rules Gemini. And so we just come in with two different perspectives of the same astrology. So you might agree with me on some levels, you might agree with Honcho on some levels, you might agree with us both, but the idea is to bring you multiple perspectives and just continue on with that vibe. So that's what we're attempting to do with these weekly astrology chats. We're trying to come here Wednesday nights around 11 o'clock to bring you some real astrology. And I'm going to just say it here, you're never going to hear no astrology like this nowhere else on the internet. For one, it's Sidereal, and for two, our perspective is just that of something that you just won't find on YouTube or anywhere else on the planet, quite frankly. So if you tuned into something special. So we're going to also open it up for questions and answers. So if you have any questions to what we're referencing, please save it for the end of the show and just let it loose in the chat once we get to that part of the show. With all that being said, Honcho, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good today, bro. Today was a good day. Every day's a good day, but today was definitely an eye opener.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eye opener.
In what ways?
More so like, you know how like when you plan something, when a plan come together, like you ever planned anything and it just came together?
No doubt.
Like that, like
no doubt.
Had sit and just lay some plans and
no
without
doubt.
trying, everything come together. So but I'm just more so speaking to like setting the plan in your mind, like in your spiritual mind, like this is how things should be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna fix this, and I'm gonna be concerned about this, and just kind of letting those energies ripple out and seeing, when the ripples come back to you, and they're more positive ripples than what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really motivating to keep doing whatever it is you're doing.
And it's a lot of astrological support to tie into what you going through in your side. You down up in the dirty, down up in Texas. And realizing it in the same way, but a different perspective, in the sticks, in the cornfields of Ohio, you feel me? But the universal energy don't matter where you at. You know what I'm saying? Rural city, and you could be off the grid, and you got to deal with certain particular aspects of managing and maintaining the harvest. So this leads us into our first topic, our first bullet point. Honcho has been dealing with it from his perspective. I've been dealing with it from my perspective. And I think in this conversation, as the moon is going to do a full transit of Taurus as we speak, and then all day tomorrow, is going to be full Taurus moon and Taurus energy. So talking about that and dealing with that, multiple perspectives I find is valid and value. So I'm gonna let Honcho kick it off, and I'm gonna just follow up.
Well, yeah, like it's right now. It's like a It's like a shift in awareness. The moon is exalted in Taurus.
True.
So like every bit of harvest that you want to get is in that energy, and it's in that energy, and that energy is more so about inner resources. The inner resources that one person may have may be the skills and talents that they have. It may be communicating, it may be working steel. It may be selling crypto, like it may be foreign exchange, it could be owning companies, it could be several different things, but like
creative pursuits.
Yeah, but it's like those things that you gain from the experience of doing those things over time. Like those are the inner resources. You've been on YouTube for 2 years. The experience gained from being on YouTube, like everything you knew about it before you jumped in, it was one thing. But once you did it, there's certain things about how you are, being online and how and talking online that only experience could give you the inner resources that you have now to utilize. You know what I'm saying? And developing self-reliance and self-value within yourself over these spans of time. Like right now is the perfect time to use everything you have and push it out. Actually make it plain. Focus on it being on the material plane. Focus on it being practical. Like,
because we dealing with an earth sign.
Yeah, we dealing with earth signs. We dealing with, if we looking at the moon being exalted, like, okay, the moon's gonna manifest for you, but it's also sitting opposite Venus.
True. Which is exalted in its own right.
Okay, so now Venus is exalted and with a mutual reception with Mars being in Libra. So now we got our intent, we got what we passionate about, we got our values and everything that we built up from the inner values. And now, with the moon being in Taurus, being exalted, it's time to manifest those things sincerely.
And I ain't trying to cut you off, but it also speaks to how things are actually changing, right? Because you're dealing with Venus and Scorpio.
Oh yeah, well. Transformative change, like so.
Yeah, good change. Change is good, though. Change is good.
What if Venus was dealing with a bad aspect, then we'd be talking about a tough change. But since Mars is calm, like it's not going to be an aggressive change. It's more so of a thought form, the way a communicative change, the way in which you process information. Going back to the Mercury being retrograde in the same sign of Libra. It's really planting it, making it plain, slowing down, and taking it all in. That transformation is not going to be a harsh one. It's going to be more so like when the leaves fall off the trees. That's more so the harsh transformation. But when the fruits grow from seed to plant, that's this kind of that's this kind of transformation. From caterpillar, from inner cocoon to butterfly.
No doubt.
Once you become a butterfly, yeah, of course you have to learn how to fly, understand the conditions. Like you may not have the conditions now, but you're a butterfly. It's time to fly. No more crawling and hanging out on the ground.
True.
We got wings.
True. And I guess that transformation is different for different people. Because, like, if you transforming from a butterfly to a caterpillar, or maybe some people transforming into moths,
it's right now.
It's different transformational processes, and in that, this conversation should enlighten you or inspire you to begin to think about different ways that you could transform your life. I think the human experience deals with the ultimate realization of particular success, but then it gets to a level where who are you helping? Who are you taking care of? Because when you think about ultimate success, there's a lot of people that are taken care of as a form of protection, as a form of advising, as a form of counseling. And you think you just about to knock on Beyonce's door and ask her for, a cup of coffee or some shit like that. It's not gonna happen. There's too many people that buffers Beyonce from society. But that's a good thing, but she's also employing massive amounts of people to ensure this protection and then ultimately ensure her success. I'll also like marvel at some moves that I see people make. Like, I know they couldn't have just thought of that by themselves, and you can tell like when people switch managers, right? Like if they get a different manager, it tends to be their career takes on a different arc, because the manager becomes an important idea for your ultimate success. So what you're dealing with is cooperation at a certain level, and then
really on a higher level,
on the highest level,
on with all these aspects being how they are. Like most people look at the opposition with like tension, when an opposition could be you and I sitting across the table closing on a deal.
And figuring out my points, your points, and coming to a center.
You mentioned security and safety, so we may be running a top flight security company over here, and you may be running a touring company.
Security is practical though. If I'm famous, if I got millions of dollars, I'm worth this amount of money. I have to put my mindset in a Moon and Taurus perspective, because if I'm Moon and Gemini, and thinking about just my personal success and my personal talent, yeah, I might get that success. But if you ain't centered in this Moon and Taurus spot, it can easily be given to you and easily taken away. So Taurus deals with the second house, possessions and things of that nature. So
what you got? What
do you have? And if it's on your front line, do you really got it? You feel me? So it's a level of security to ensure that it's even yours. And I'm just being practical and I'm being real, because on a certain level people can get real spiritual and say, oh, it's all mine, and all of this stuff. But intangible factors, intangible means, there's a lot of things to be obtained and there's a lot of things to be garnered. And it's not so much of like working a double job or something like that. There's might be a legality, it might be some paperwork, or it might be an inheritance. It might be something very tangible, something very real that you can begin to focus on. It could be your family history. It's a lot of different things that are available to us now. But as you were speaking to this being the highest calling, my mind reflects on Libra, right? And you know how the Libra scales, they have Anubis there, and he's weighing the scales with the heart and the feather. But you figure in the ancient mind, this is how they determine what was right or wrong based on God's law, quote unquote. You feel me? But then if you flip Anubis in dog, you literally get God, right? So you literally have the balancing of energies based upon sidereal astrology. And then you look on the news, this person in court, Trump getting filed for impeachment, this person filing this against the Civil Rights Supreme Court, Byron Allen this, ADOS that, all of these different things, reparations this, it's a very interesting time. But if you aware of the astrologics,
we gotta talk to that. Like, what's going on with the case? Just brief me. Just quick brief.
Briefly, Byron Allen, he owns a cable company. He owns multiple cable companies. He wanted his cable companies to be bought by Comcast, because once you get your company in a cable package, you are part of that package. So whatever comes in, you get your residuals off. However, it's spread apart. But Correct. Comcast said, no, We don't want you. So he's filing a civil rights act of 1866 court case against Comcast and suing them for like $20 billion because, don't quote me on that amount, it's something like that, but he's suing them for like a lot of money because they kicked him out. And his reason and his grounds for suing Comcast is the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which states that any legal business, any act that you get discriminated against because you're black is unlawful. Now think about how crazy that is. Like,
okay.
That's the law in the book.
And I'm looking at the aspects when you say that, right? Mm-hmm. Three planets. We talking Venus. We talking the moon. We talking money. Yeah, all that's Venus, moon. Okay, so and we talking digging up a law from the past. You know what I mean? That's Venus and Scorpio. But if we go into war, that's Mars, right? But Mars is in Libra. So Mars says, no, I'm not going to fight you on the battlefield. I'm going to fight you with the courts. And because we had Jupiter go through Scorpio just recently over the past year, we've downloaded all of this past history. All this history been dug up. And then we have Jupiter going into Sagittarius saying, let's go to the courtroom and see the higher judge so we can unveil what the law states on this matter. Because if I fight you physically, you're gonna make me look like Black Lives Matter. But if I fight you in court and I utilize the actual documentation, because we can put a keen eye on the documentation with Mercury being retrograde. Yeah, let's slow down and let's talk about it. You know, let's get to the bottom of what this document states and what the actions you've taken against me, and let's see if this lines up. If it lines up, yeah, Taurus, you might have to pay them dollars.
And speaking to lining up, I just want to make a quick little advertisement for Sidereal Astrology. Now, we have these particular placements and particular alignments that speak right and exact to our present day and time. So it helps us understand and decode our days in life by understanding the exact or close to exact placements. I just want to say that because people get it kind of confused as to why we would study Sidereal versus Western. But in these kind of conversations and understanding this energy, Moon and Taurus, if I'm thinking that the moon is in Gemini somewhere, I'm not really dealing with this tangible, practical results. You can look at Tariq Nasheed's video that he just put out today and look at the hashtag. The first hashtag says tangibles for 2020. You feel me? Tangibles for 2020 in a Taurus moon. So, you know, whether you deal with her directly or indirectly, you seeking something tangible. So if you confused about what you're seeking and you like, well, it's something that I need to do, and you might think, what I'm saying is the super spiritual shit ain't gonna work. The very tangible, practical, understanding legalese. So we was talking earlier, right, Honcho? If I go to Spain and I don't know Spanish and I'm trying to communicate, you not gonna fault me, or you gonna fault me however it play. The same way as you go into these courts. It ain't like me and you talking right now. We can't go into court.
Language is an art.
Yeah, speak to that.
Language is an art. The reason being, with my language, I can throw you a feeling. With my words, I can make you believe. Nigga is offensive. It's a word, right? If we were just having a conversation about words, this is language. You know, speaking to Taurus, speaking to the throat chakra. Exactly. And
Taurus rules the throat.
And I wanted to bring some awareness to this too. It's just like we're becoming grounded in going backwards and changing our thought forms with the trine to Mercury and Neptune. Like, we have the ability to access the Akashic records. This is what Tariq Nasheed. Like, Taurus, the moon being in Taurus, being exalted, we got access to Akashic records. The
That's a
Akashic
fact.
records
That's a fact.
are located in Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at
Pleiades.
Mercury and if you look at Neptune, now you know Neptune ruling the higher side of the moon because it rules the higher side of the waters, and Mercury ruling the thought forms, and both of them being in an exact trine, we got like that's a gift. We being gifted with the Akashic records at bay. Utilize them to your ability. If you need to use them in court, take advantage of the sextile to Jupiter. If you need to use them in real life, take advantage of the internet. Become aware. Change the way you think. Like that's all here.
And then you also have a T-square too between the moon, Neptune, and Venus, where it's a gift because it's a gift to the explorer. Like if we was treasure hunting, right? The niggas that sitting at home, it's a struggle in the realms of treasure hunting right now if you just kind of relaxing and not particularly focused on something, because what needs to be understood is that it might not be an active pursuit more than it is an active identification of that which you're trying to manifest, and really hold on it so strong that it incites you to do some action behind it, do something tangible behind it. Like a girl, because we dealing with the 7th house too, so it's a girl you crushing on super hard. Well, if you're not gonna say nothing to her, like this is really the time to kind of step out of your shell. Like if you're not feeling good about yourself, then that's probably the problem. But 10 times out of 10 you feel good about yourself, you would probably talk to her and 10 other girls at this particular point in the game, because once you put a little energy towards your to what you really your inners, you know what I'm saying? I was talking to my cousin earlier, and your inners. Your inners.
I like so I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use it, but you gonna hear me using it.
Real quick, I was talking to my cousin earlier, and he's really esoteric. He one of them deep bros, right? And I was like, you know, bro, I feel you, but that's the same. You sound like the person that's materialistic. You just spiritualistic. You know, you 100% spiritual and you 0% tangible, and that's gonna be your downfall in this matrix that we call life. It ain't. I'm very spiritual, but I ain't so spiritual that I ain't concerned with making sure that my family is taken care of.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Like it might be some tangible shit that I might do. I might have to get a job at Rumkey and deliver the trash or pick up the trash. But if it means my family eating, I don't mind. You feel me? Like
straight up.
No matter how much spiritual I get.
Yeah, I've dealt with that, man. Like you know, being really caught up in grinding in this material and studying and consistently getting ready for that jump shot. You know what I'm saying? Like staying in like that, and that's how I look at it. Staying ready so when it's time when the coach called me, or if it's time for me to get on the court or whatever the situation or circumstance may be, when it's my time, I'm gonna get in the game, I'm gonna shine. Like period. I may have never had my opportunity all these years, but the work and the effort that was put forth before, get into this space is what's most, what was most necessary.
No doubt, man. I mean,
like once we get to a space where it's time to do something practical, all them jump shots, it's time to get in the game. You can't not get in the game. You get what I'm saying? You can't not take the shot, or
I get exactly what you're saying. Because when I was explaining this to my cousin, you know who I was thinking of when I was verbalizing what I was expressing to him? I was thinking about you, because you really, you show like you a type of person that you tangible. But then you can also converse on the astrologics that might not have shit to do with a dime. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
It don't got
And
nothing to do with money.
I prefer that place
Mm-hmm.
because them tangibles will get you into
It's prison. That's
karma.
prison.
Yeah,
That's
it's
prisons.
karma. It's
Yeah.
karma, bro. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
you get placed in a situation where your actions are looked at by other people and judged, and people get to hold emotional stances against you,
Mm-hmm.
thought forms and feelings. And when you got people doing that, that law of attraction say all them people holding all them negative tones towards you, them vibrational tones will come back and hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you any kind of aware, you will feel them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you feel a nigga after you because you own some money. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel that nigga after you. Even if he ain't after you, it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So that
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's a
Yeah.
chord.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
you know
mean?
how it feel like when you don't owe nobody nothing. You can
Straight up.
reflect on. You know how you can like just get yourself in that spot where you used to owe niggas.
Yeah, like,
that
God
stress,
damn, bro,
like you just be at the crib, like you
Woo.
can't really watch TV comfortably because you owe.
Yeah, bro.
But then you laugh
Boy,
about it now because it's so
'cause,
far away. But
man, you got away from it because you build out. You build. Look, going back to the Taurus thing. You build inner value. So like,
yeah.
that integrity becomes a priority,
Mm-hmm.
and being on time, and you know what I'm saying, making sure you do what is right by people based off of what you would want done to yourself. You know what I mean? So it'll make you have a reflectional state and be more aware of your surroundings and how you participate your actions. Like, are you aware of how you react into society? Or are you not aware? And if you become aware, then you can get to the spaces where you look back and be like, damn, boy, whew, them spaces was terrible back then. Boy, I used to hate it when them phones would ring, or I used to hate it when whatever the circumstance or situation had been. You know what I mean?
But now it's like, you know, for me personally, I don't wake up with none of that energy of, damn, I hope my phone rings so I can hit a play so I can re-up. You know,
yeah, I already know.
And you know, I owe such and such. I owe 2 plugs, so I got a front from this plug, so I could pay back that plug, and it ain't come back the way I wanted it to come back, and now I'm stressed. I'm cutting my phone off, and I can't find my charger. You know, just coming up with different lies, and you know, all of these particular things that kind of speak to a life that I'm not in now, but I can understand how a person could be in it now. But I want to ask you, bro, how do, in the present time, Mars in Libra is at the first decan of Libra, and then you have Venus in Scorpio at the third decan, so that's the furthest decans that they can be from each other, but also in exalted spaces. Can you speak to the actual terminology for this and what it means?
Yeah, let me go to that real. Let me take a look at that real quick. So I'm gonna read it and then I'm gonna explain it just so everybody can get a solid understanding. So a mutual reception is when 2 planets are in each other's signs of rulership. We both know that Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, natural ruler, and Venus is the natural ruler of Libra. Whenever planets are in mutual reception, they provide the native with additional forces to overcome difficulties that present themselves during transits affecting their signs and houses. So this is specifically pertaining to us, because this reception, like I said, this is Mars, which if Mars was in Scorpio, it'd be really intense this time.
But it's chilled. But it's chilled now.
You know what I'm saying? And with like Venus, if Venus was in Libra, like I think we'd be more in bliss, more lost in the relationship. So it'd be Mars. Like let's say they both were at home. Mars being in it's probably some sexual shit with Venus being in Libra. That's some relations and sex. Like we're not even thinking about nothing else but fucking right now. You know what I'm saying? But right now, with them being in mutual reception, it's like Mars is about that business right now. Like
court cases.
court cases? How can I get my logistics in order so that I can make sure that I have steady income? Because Venus over there is making sure we got money from all of this deep wisdom that's been presented, and the moon in Taurus is like, come on, come on, bring it in, bring it all in. So being in this space with this mutual reception it's like really take advantage of communicating with one-on-one about money, communicating about bringing things that matter to matter.
If it has value, or really searching for that value and bringing that value to the source.
Like you said, you brought something up that you felt like was valuable with myself, but with you as well. It's like, man, you on YouTube, only black guy on YouTube talking about Sidereal astrology, and you know, you're really challenging the person to say, like, why? You know, why? Not necessarily that you're wrong, but why? And you know, if one was to take into consideration the mutual reception, like, okay, Mars, instead of being so aggressive about the circumstance, see where I'm coming from. See why. Let's go outside while it's dark in the deep of the night, and let's take our scope and see where the moon is. And if the moon is hanging out in Taurus, not in Gemini, because we know the constellation of Gemini, then maybe we should take a step back and consider where everything is to make a broad, solid decision on where we must go. Because we can, if Venus is as far as it's going to be away from Mars, and Mars is as far as it's going to be away from Venus in this space, then this is the projectile that one would need to see. They can see through all the space in between each other.
Because you can get a little bit deeper and say that Mars is still in Virgo, because Virgo is so large, and like that's sidereal. In sidereal, Mars is in Virgo, but then in Vedic, Mars is in Libra. But a deeper understanding is the ability to look at things as how they are and not how you wish them to be. And I promise you that you'll have successful relationships if you're able to do that. You'll have better knowledge and better grasping of that knowledge if you're able to do that. Because I've never lived in a perfect world. I always tell people I grew up as an alien. Like, people literally had to tell me, like, put a shirt on, or, you know, like, you do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, we do this in this planet, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, maybe I'm just slow to shit, or whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm under a rock. But in doing the esoterics and doing the study, I find that, you know, maybe that this human condition might need some adjustment, you know, and in that I'm willing to throw everything away and see what sticks. And you know, the Vedic and the sidereal astrology, it tends to stick and it tends to apply. And when I speak to astrology, I speak to astrology as a student, and I'm taking the title of the forever student. I'm gonna study astrology for the rest of my life. And you know, on my deathbed, I'll be like, you know, the moon is here, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I'm leaving this joint, you know what I'm saying? As an observer, you feel me? From that perspective, it leads me into the moon in Taurus, where if you study it from it Kabbalistically, you have it in three deacons. You have power, worry, and success. Right off the gate, we powerful if we understand that, and then how to really factor in that power. You got to really deal with some insecurity, some doubts, because it's new. If I'm a butterfly and I just start flying, I ain't gonna know how to fly right off the rip. I'm gonna have to learn. But through that, if I take the modalities to learn, I'm for sure gonna fly. Because when I started off this joint, I started off with power. I started off with a voice. I started off knowing how to speak from nothing. You know, we've all learned how to speak without nobody teaching us the direct. I mean, some of us, for the most part, we've adapted the modality of speaking from God itself, you know. And if we was in from Spanish, we had a Spanish family, we'd be speaking Spanish now. If we had
Straight
an
up.
African family,
Wherever we are, there go the language arts again. Imagine.
and it's a natural thing. It's a godlike thing. It's a godlike power. So utilizing that and then learning the particular arts and becoming artists and figuring out a way to communicate to other people is not something that is easy.
Nah.
But it's very practical and it's very achievable if you listen to people who've done it before. And that's the hardest thing, man. It's people that done it, but especially YouTube generation, we can learn
straight
anything.
Up. My communication terrible. Like I set a 5 minute, bro. You know what I mean? I find it extremely hard to at times have compassion just because of a set mindset to just do. And just me being aware of that allows me to, instead of being non-compassionate when those energies set off in me to be that way, it's just to be aware of all the things that I learned, all the things that I've made myself aware of. So when I feel myself going to those places where, I really want to just encourage you with the most aggressive energy that I have, because aggression is how I get through. Like, and not necessarily yelling at things, but using that shit as the drive to say, okay, I'm gonna get this done every day until I don't even think about it anymore, and it's time for me to do something else that I need to plow through. You get what I'm saying? So
I do. And what I would say to that is that, and I'm gonna just say this real quick and let me know what you think it is. People don't care what you know till they know that you care. So in a Taurus Moon, by simply providing tangible things that represent your message and giving it away because it's nothing to you, because you've already produced it, like in a relegated amount, this is what they call a giveaway or a promotion, or where you just giving something away because you got so much of it to give, and you also monetizing it and you giving it away to people in theory because this is such a good product that once they get it, they're gonna tell people about it, and then that's gonna help you with your sales. So what I'm saying is that you could be as aggressive as you want to, as long as people know that you got their best interest at heart. And the only way they know that is through tangible goods, which ties into Moon and Taurus. People just want to know that you care about them. And I built my reputation off of free readings. You know what I'm saying? Before I made $1 off of readings, I gave away hundreds of readings for free. You know what I'm saying? Till it got to a point where I was like, well, I don't even got the space and time and energy to do this, so I'm gonna just charge, just because I would rather do this for free. But if I say I'm giving out free readings, I'm telling you, I do this shit on Facebook sometimes and my comments just go like, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I say niggas.
Yeah, straight up, bro. I already know.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that though, because like that can help you, I think. Let me know if that did or didn't.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But you know what though? We talked a lot on my journey these last 2 years, 3 years, however long. But
lifetimes.
Lifetime, straight up. In the process of all this, it's just the things that, like, I was prepared for not getting compensated for this. I didn't come to this for compensation.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a problem giving information away. I don't talk to people. I don't have small talk. Everything I say to people is fact. Majority of the time, if it's not factual, then I'm up for correction. Give it to me so I can check it. You know what I mean? I'm with it, but I'm trying to give everybody jewels. Like everybody what I have. I came to this planet with this energy to give wisdom. You know what I mean? So doing this, I knew that I would have to give it away for some time. So I've been giving away for, some time, bro, on the internet, because I didn't feel like The internet is somewhere I needed to go. Like I create businesses daily for a living. So I'm more so in the community dealing with people on a one-on-one basis, and to be placed in a position to speak to the people and give things away. Knowing that, man, I set up a whole lot of free shit before I got here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people out there with big astrological businesses and don't even know they moon sign. It's a lot of people that call for guidance, and I'm looking directly at the stars, and I'm telling them in a language that they can understand, so they can make a solid decision for maybe picking a job or deciding whether or not to move to a city or whatever the circumstance may be going. It'd be really plain, average, everyday things that just looking at the moon and Taurus today. It's I know maybe it's gonna be a money day for you, or maybe it's gonna be a money day for me. Just the paying attention. So like you said, you gave away those readings, and you put in that work up front. It's to be linked in a coalition like with Set, you, Shireen, and I, and us coming on here giving the weekly transits. Man, this is some shit that people was telling me to do back then that was getting the free readings. But it's not something that I felt in here that should be done at the time, because as a business owner with all this business experience I have, I understand that period that you must go through to get out of novice. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get out of novice. You can't just jump into some shit and think you know it. You got to live it. You got to experience. You got to give service to it. You got to put in those hours. Put in 4,500 hours of study, man, in 2018. And I jotted it down so one day I could come back to it and be like, I put 4,500 hours of study in, and it's fact. Like, people saw me doing that. You know what I'm saying? So those things are important to get you to the place where you can come on now, and you got those readings that people are going to give you, that they're going to pay you good money for, because you deserve it. You valuable, and you set your value at that place. You got a book out. You know what I mean? And we can all go and buy that book, and we all should go and buy that book, because it helps us know ourselves. So, and it's teaching on all of the things that you have on your channel. So putting in that work ahead of time, not knowing not knowing what was gonna manifest, not knowing whether or not you were gonna gain a team, not knowing whether or not you was gonna meet the right people to do some of the things that you're trying to do now, or that you're doing now. It's really just plowing ahead, like actually saying, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna do the work. Once we start doing the cycles of the work, then more doors start to open. But we got to understand, like, when we plant a seed, that seed got to grow roots first.
But that's Jupiter and Sagittarius, and that's where I'm kind of always telling people, get you a totem, get you some mental thing that you can focus on right now. Focus on where you want to be a year from now. If you don't do shit else in this space and time, this month, don't think about shit, but where you trying to get, because that's how time moves in this particular space and time. But that's how time moves on the 3D, but in the 4 or 5 dimensions, it's moving backwards. So we're dealing with Mercury, trine, Neptune. So what you mean, Hood Mystic, time is moving backwards? They're literally referencing a court case that happened in 1866.
What was going on in 1866? Like, straight up, can anybody tell us?
I mean, we could have used this rule, but we could have used this rule for hundreds of years, and I never heard about it until 2019. That's because of my ignorance, but I never heard it in passing either. So, I'm sure a lot of us are being put up on the realization of the old history. And
Pluto.
And before you get there, I just want to kind of bring people up to speed of where we're at, and then I just want, because like we're dealing with Mercury trine Neptune, and I started off this conversation. A lot of y'all wasn't on the live when I started off the conversation, and we dealing with Vedic astrology, which centers on the nodes, and the North Node is presently in Gemini, and the planet that rules Gemini is Mercury. So we're intent on coming here every Wednesday evening to bring this astrology from the twin Gemini Mercury perspective. You know, my perspective, Honcho's perspective, and then also your perspective. So we're gonna leave it up to y'all to give us some questions, some good old questions at the end. But you know, it's me, the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com, and my main man Honcho Building, and you was referencing Pluto, sir. What were you hitting
So
on?
I was saying, like, it's just like that Pluto has been going through Sagittarius all this time, like unveiling all of this information for us to like go and dissect and become aware of. If you can remember, you know, you got to be a lawyer to understand law. You got to be an accountant to understand, you know, the numbers.
Finances, yeah.
You feel like you got to go to these schools, pay this money, get this, you know what I'm saying, learn this skill that you don't learn how to apply. And that information is available with the World Wide Web for us to get and dissect and become aware of. And if we're not actually doing that, then we falling behind. But if we are actually doing that, then we unveiling 1865 year old laws that's been placed in front of us, where we can go in court and defend ourselves against anybody on some discrimination. It was placed there for us to be aware of, but because Pluto is plowed all of the veil that's been placed in Sagittarius, that's been placed in the higher wisdoms of what we can learn and how we can advance our knowledge and how we can communicate internationally and how we can travel internationally, cross borders, and really understand the broader perspective. Everybody over here talking yoga, but yoga come from India. You know what I'm saying? If you like Vedic comes from India. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we discuss any kind of Chinese New Year's, these are everybody's different traditions from all over. The only reason why we have them now is because Pluto been plowing through that. Saturn been restructuring the whole entire landfill for us to come in and start laying down these new laws. Look, this law been here, so I need y'all to honor this. Pay the 20, man. Tell Comcast pay the 20. Real talk.
Drop it like it's hot. 20 bills.
Yeah, man.
Based upon discrimination, that's big, man. I felt that. Blaxican just dropped something profound too as you was speaking. I don't know if you seen it, but shout out to Blaxican, who said in 1866 Noble Drew Ali was born. And
man, holla, man! Shout out to Blaxican.
You feel me? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's that don't big. You don't even need to say nothing else, you know, to the right and exactment and alignment of the space and time. And a lot of people might feel like, you know, what does this have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, because what we discussing, what we dealing with is human rights, you know, not just your basic right for life. There's certain things you need. So as Moon being in Taurus, I know we keep saying that, but goddamn, it's a big topic. You feel me?
Hey,
and
man,
it's a strong energy.
Yo, imagine having access to like Universal Records. We got the whole Universal catalog tonight with the Moon and Taurus and the Akashic Records. So we able to just tap in to history like that. That's why. That's why we here. You know what I mean? Like, and for those who don't know what the Akashic Records is, it's the Earth's memory bank. You know what I'm saying? Anything that has ever happened and that ever will happen is in the Akashic Records. And you can only find that with the Moon exalted in Taurus.
So my next daily energy reading, I've been thinking about it. The title is going to be, just kind of just leads into the conversation. I'm just sharing this right now. But is gonna be, we all have psychic gifts.
Yeah, we need to talk about that, bro. We
Period.
need to
Point
talk about
blank.
that.
You feel me?
Yeah, cause
We all have psychic
it's
gifts.
we do,
So
bro.
it ain't no
We do.
hierarchy in this shit. It ain't no I'm more spiritual than you. And the problem with a lot of these people on YouTube, they want a hierarchy spiritual your ass to death. Yeah, you spiritual, but you gotta join my class. You gotta listen to this. You gotta do that. Now I'm saying you wake up out of bed, my nigga, you spiritual as
Right there. Right
you
there.
on another level. The way you got out of bed, oh my God. That was some next level shit. You feel me? That's kind of what I'm speaking to. Mercury trine Neptune is that access to this power source that if you in the conscious community, this shit might go over your head because you still waiting for a conscious savior to drop that esoteric love bomb that's going to answer all your questions. But my thing is, I'm trying to alert to you that you have psychic gifts and psychic abilities that can be transferred into the tangible reality, because we're dealing with Moon and Taurus above all things. But there's a lot of supporting elements that speak to the raising up of spiritual energy. So is you gonna catch the ball or drop it or fumble it? You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? What are you going to do?
No doubt, man. So, we've been building, and the sun been in Libra for this past November into October energy craziness. How you gonna send out the sun, and like what have you gathered from this sun transit
in Libra?
In Libra.
For one,
because the sun is debilitated, so it's affecting us in a certain type of way over these past 30 days.
There hasn't been, I'm an Aries, man, so like that's opposition with me, but there hasn't been much like initiative action, like that action where it's like, okay, let's go get it. You know what I mean? So it hasn't been much of that. It's been the type of action where it's like, okay, I'm going to communicate to as many people as I can so that I can get a solid understanding of what I'm trying to figure out. It's just been like really learn how to become relatable. Everybody isn't going to understand you. So slow the conversation. My Mercury's in Aries. So, and it's opposite this Mercury. So it's like slow the conversation. Don't give them too much fire because you might burn them. But light the fire like Leo and just show them the space and allow them to interpret what they see for themselves. Don't force it, but definitely create the conversation because it's not being had. And that in every area of my life, it's just been like create the conversation, create these conversations. People ain't having these conversations. Bring it up.
It's abstract, but I think it relates. It's like if we had we was out camping or something and we wanted to do a bonfire, the best thing to do is to build your fire and then create like a ramp and then put all of your logs on that ramp, so when one log burns, that they'll just continuously fall through the night, so you don't have to constantly put logs on the fire. And that's a skill, and that could be imparted, and that's related to fire. Now, I'm telling you to maintain your fire all night, you might think that you gotta wake up every 35 minutes of your sleep to wake up and put the fire on, or you're gonna freeze to death because you outside in the wilderness. But the ability to impart wisdom, to impart different ways to sustain your fire, which of course Aries initiates the fire, Leo sustains the fire, and Sagittarius is a fire that's not gonna be a forest fire but blaze a trail. You feel me? And maybe it might have to burn some forest down, but ultimately it's a fire with a purpose. But that's kind of the log. So I know that's really abstract, but I feel like as you were speaking, that's what came into my mind. Just teaching us how to maintain and kindle that fire. And fire ain't nothing. When I talk to you, I hope that I don't be the type of person that make you think twice about your fire, because I personally like it. Even if I don't understand it, even if I don't always understand fire energetic people, you know, it might go over my head sometimes, or maybe it's too fast, or maybe I don't personally like this shit because it speaks to some shit that I need to work on. You feel me? But it's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? And part of being successful, bro, is making people uncomfortable. You know, pissing people off. That's kind of part of being successful. My most successful video on this platform got the most dislikes. That's just how it goes.
Right on, man. Well, you know, I'm good. I don't think that we share that. Everything that I'm giving as far as like people, you know, expressing on my fire, man, it's cool for me because it's all growth. Like, I look at everything as a growing situation. It's not nothing I can't grow from. So, you know, I take everything as a learning opportunity. And, man, when people give me game, like, I be appreciative. You know what I mean? You know, for somebody to express to me, look, next time when you talking, bro, do it like this. You know, and it really come from a sincere place. I may not give a fuck about that shit at the time. See, that's my fire. I may not give a fuck. But I'm going to think about what you said. And I'm going to go back and I may study about what you said. And you may see me do exactly what you said. And I'm going to honor you for helping me out. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody need that. Everybody needs somebody to say, look, bro, I appreciate you for that shit. We don't get enough of that shit. Nobody get enough of that. So, like, to know that somebody appreciated you for criticism, that's growth.
Nah, it's these group of people, I call them the Rat Pack, and they like anti-spiritual, so they find it like funny. They like clown spiritualism and things of that nature. I tend to like, I want to hear their opinions. I want to hear them like shit on it, because, you know, in my line of profession, all I get is like, that's amazing. I love that. I need more of that. I love. In that space, there's no room for me to grow. When you shit on me, when you tell me how much you don't like it, or when you challenge me, or, you know, you make me feel uncomfortable, it inspires me to become a better person. I grew up in the 90s. I grew up in Akron, and I went to school, and niggas was cracking from the start of school to the end of school. Niggas was like, the whole day you was just thinking of your best jokes to just tear somebody down. Like,
that's possible. That's popular in most hoods, man. And I was never, like, growing up, bro, I was never quick with the words. Like,
me neither.
Never. Like, that's really kind of what got me into, like, reading. I'm like, man, I'm finna fuck these niggas up. I'm finna go study.
I'm gonna be smart. Yeah,
I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna say some shit you don't know, and then I'm gonna fuck you up real good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna be like, man, tell me about that shit you talking about. You know what I'm saying? You gonna want to be my friend later, nigga.
Yeah, I figured out like how to burn CDs. I figured out like all different types of shit to be cool.
Bro, I'm not finna incriminate myself. Bro. Bro, you know that was the hustle growing up.
You know, that's how I got all my friends, actually. You know, figuring out what kind of music they listen to and coming up with the exclusives. But I was straight nerd in school, so I had to figure out a different way to kind of, I guess growing up nerd made me want to overcompensate being hard or some weird shit like that. So it was weird growing up, but, you know, just back to developing and understanding who you are during different phases. A lot of our personal conversations have been like us reflecting on particular times in our past, and as a relation to where we are now, but then with a sense of gratitude. So
Yeah,
and
like those
understanding
experiences help.
this new phase, we moving into the space of literal gratitude. So you would be gratitude for some pilgrims slaughtering the ancestors, or be gratitude for your ability to fight back. I'm dealing with the energy of the ability to fight back, and it just depends on where you at.
Uh, I'm on some gratitude, bro. I was fighting back, these last couple years.
Mm,
I'm definitely in a more yeah. I'm giving thanks right now,
mm-hmm,
and more so trying to stay with it. These energies are not the energies that are common. These are my opposites. So to deal with an opposite is to become aware that you both are the same, but you operate differently in different environments.
mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
put me in a courtroom. Oh, I give you the fire in the courtroom. All I need to know is the language,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll chop you up. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But if I'm not aware that I have the ability to be just as aggressive with the tongue as I do with my hands, but I never understand. I never go to the other perspective and show the appreciation for the other perspective as I should. I never know, and I never know how to move in those fields. And every time I go to Libra, or every time the sun comes to this area of the sky, I won't be able to take advantage of the opposition. So,
Mm-hmm.
This, just being aware and practicing diligently is helped, but don't get it twisted, bro. I'm challenged in my relationships all the time. You know what I'm saying? All the time. I have to really just kind of let my fire be jokingly, unless I'm talking to people who I'm comfortable with, allowing them to see how aggressive it can be. Because I look at, passion is what you need to move a train.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a train is a link with a bunch of different people. So it's like, I put the fire on them coals, man, so the whole group will get to going. And I like and I honor that position, because forcing myself to be the leader in the front is when I look back on life, it's like, nah, that's not how it's supposed to go. Leaders lead from the back.
Mm-hmm. But then again, speaking to leaders, and I feel like this is all centered in seventh house relationships. Now, a seventh house relationship, a Libra relationship, is different from an 11th house relationship. And the difference between a seventh house relationship and an 11th house relationship is the difference between a marriage and a bae, or a boo thing, or that one girl that I met at the club. She can't sue me if I leave today, but if I decide to just leave today, my wife can put some major paperwork on my ass that, because we have a bond, we have a commitment, we have businesses that have particular till death do us part. Like, if you take that seriously or not. I personally do, and I find value in that, but that's because I rock with my seventh houses. You asked me that question earlier, like, how long do you expect to work on these projects, in reference to the projects that we was working on? Forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a shit.
Right,
like the
that
time.
was a good answer. You waited a long time, but that was a good answer, brother. That was a real good answer.
No, because it was because I don't never, like you said, like, some people have a lot of 11th house relationships where they come and they go, they're here, they're there. Like, if you know me and you talk to me and we've had multiple conversations, we locked in at a different level, at a different place, that, like, I honestly feel like, okay, then we might have had relationships in past lives or something to that effect, or we connect on the spiritual level in multiple forms and facets. And this is how I choose to operate. Now, That's because I'm a Libra rising. like in Vedic, like a full Libra rising.
Could be.
It could be,
But
you know what I'm saying? But I'm only centered in seventh house relationships. And so that's kind of where this energy is at, in that seventh house, in that realm of Libra, in the realm of like getting married before God or having particular relationships that don't weigh on your heart but actually take you to that next level. So that's kind of where I'm trying to get to, and it does take a lot of energy and effort to learn that particular language art. The song that I've been waking up listening to is actually Kalani Love Language, and understanding people's love language. Like, you know, you have relationships. My love language is acts of service. My wife's love language is, you know, something completely different. You know what I'm saying? But in understanding those languages,
I
we
like,
able to
yeah, I
communicate
like, I
at a
like how
higher
you said
level.
something completely different. It speaks to like your understanding of exactly where it is.
Hmm.
But it also speaks of like, your awareness that, damn it, I'm learning.
Yeah, it's a like, I'm not a central guy, or her actual love language is the touch. I'm not a touchy feely type of person, but I'm learning and I'm taking the effort, and I feel like she's happy or she's more receptive to that. So especially if you a guy, you know, learn your woman's love language. You have a much happier relationship, because we tend to think that our love language is the love language, but that's just not the case.
Ladies too, learn your man's love language, cause
That's a fact.
that's
High
that shit
five,
goes
high
both
five
ways.
on that.
Real talk, real talk, man. We got a language too.
we got feelings.
Yeah, real talk.
No doubt, man.
So, and then where we at?
We can
Got some questions.
we
Anybody got
build.
questions?
Anybody got questions? This is the part of this show. This is a new thing that we trying. You know, if y'all have questions, feel free to ask anything related to Vedic astrology, anything related to like personal astrological questions. Feel free to email me or hit up Honcho Buildinair on Instagram. That's Honcho Build in Air on Instagram. But just any questions related to the energy, how it could possibly tie into astrology, anything that you're possibly dealing with, or anything y'all want to talk about, we just opening the floor to y'all.
Right on.
Can we be of service to you? Let's speak to Shireen while these questions come in.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. She got a
So
one-page dropping this week, right?
today,
Today.
I didn't get
One
the
page
name
of the
of it.
day.
I didn't get the name of it, but be sure to follow her on Instagram as well. She reigns the web. Um, Also, check out our video on my channel that we did to get more information. But continuously, she's working on these one page guides diligently. Like, a lot of effort and energy goes into these guides. So I think that, you know, talk to her, build with her, get more information on what she's presenting and what she's working on. You know, support, you know, reach out and understand the technology and the inventiveness that she's coming, because, you know, a lot of people want to be up on what's happening on the new trend and all of that. These one page guides, I'm telling y'all, like, I'm telling you, a year from now, they're probably going to be in everybody's home up on the wall, like, and understanding the astrology and understanding these things. Like, it's like a poster, but then you could kind of carry it in your pocket. It allows you to kind of monitor, okay, if I got one on the moon signs, you know, you might want to keep track of the moon, or want to know the difference between personal planets, transpersonal planets, you know, or spiritual planets, you know, all of these different things that you could look on the internet and find, and you might find the information you're looking for. but you don't have it easily accessible in your hand, looking at it, reading it, and being able to absorb the knowledge. And for $1, you know what I'm saying? Shireen's presenting this information. So it's available for download. It's available for you to get it a laminated copy sent to you. So I'm gonna have the link in the comments. Be sure to reach out to her. And I think the link's already in the description. So join the set as well. If you join the set, you get a free one-page guide, so you can kind of get a taste of what I'm actually talking about before you make that big investment of $1.
Yeah.
All right, doesn't
That
matter.
shit's super huge. You balling, man. You balling when you buy that shit. So make sure you go ball out on that.
Doesn't matter whether the energy in Vedic is different from mainstream pertaining to astrology, or is it ultimately the same effects either way? What you think, Honcho?
This is what I think. What I think is Vedic is where the planets are. So when you go and look at them, that's where they are. And to do the mathematical calculations of where you are is to know the Earth's rotation. So to become aware of the Earth's rotation and where the Earth stands is to know that that's sitting opposite the sun. So I don't think that it's the same. No, I think that it's the opposite perspective to gain a full understanding of oneself. So if you are following Western astrology to understand yourself from where you are, to look outside and to become aware of where the planets are, is to see how they are relating to you. So you can become aware of your space and how you are, standing in your one space, staying in your city, you know what I mean? Living in your house, never leaving. But if you want to go and see what Hollywood looks like, what New York looks like. I live in Texas. You know what I'm saying? You live in Ohio. I want to see what India looks like. I gotta know what Singapore looks like. I want to vacate in Tahiti. Like, these places are around the globe, and I would have to travel in order to get there. I would have to leave. I would have to go and pay attention to accurate directions, and you know what I'm saying? That there's a whole nother logistics system that goes into that would make me more aware of where I'm going, and that's Vedic astrology. So to know who you are is like to know where you come from, know how you deal, know how you relate to your friends and family members and around you, and it's just like gaining a base. But when you want to rise a little bit higher than that, and this is correlating to the higher places that we've been talking about with Venus, when you want to rise a little higher than that, is to take your understanding and go outside and relate to how did astrology come about? Like, how did it, who created this? Who brought this to attention? Like, how did they do it? Like, not necessarily saying how I learned it. I may have learned math one way, but there's other ways that I could have learned math. So,
but that's kind of where you kind of hit it on the head. So Western astrology is how we're introduced to astrology more than likely. So if you introduce to a particular situation, you would tend to value how you learned it. But Western astrology is like if you learn addition. And so if I'm discussing another level or an advanced understanding of it that may be a little different from addition, but it's not. Like, multiplication and addition is not different. It's the same thing. I'm just utilizing multiplication because it's a little bit faster to get to where I'm trying to get to. And so Sidereal astrology is just multiplying the chart because it's using the exact placements. Another way that...
It's actually opposite.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that perspective is actually opposite. It would actually require the more complicated math to understand the tropical astrology than it would to understand
facts, and that's true. But then again, another way that I try to explain it to people is that astrology is on the street, but sidereal astrology is the
Yeah.
actual house that you try to
Yeah.
get to, based upon the realization that the sun is actually moving into Libra now. It's not in Scorpio. Why would you say it's in Scorpio when it's not? Mainstream astrology is like mainstream music. None of us listen to Ariana Grande. So why would you? It's music. It got a vibe. Like, I can, if you force me to listen to Ariana Grande, I probably won't hate it. But it's mainstream. It's not made for me. It's made for 16-year-old children. I listen to jazz now because I'm grown. You feel me? I still listen to hip hop, and my children, they like Old Town Road. You know what I'm saying? I'll listen to that with them, but that's pop. And it's still music. It's still astrology. I can't take anything away from it. This is just more of a direct understanding. And astrology is a study. So it's not meant to confuse you. It's meant for you to learn it. And if you take an active approach to learning it the same way you learned anything in life, because when you went to arithmetic, you didn't know 1 + 1 = 2 before you learned it. And before it was probably confusing until somebody showed you, you take one of these, you take one of these, how many do you have? 2. So when we discuss transits and aspects, we're doing mathematical equations.
Straight up. Straight up.
And I'd rather have the exact equation and the more equation that's in right in alignment with the actual placements than one that's 24 degrees off. Nobody has ever told me the reasoning for them utilizing Western astrology over sidereal astrology. I'm always the one that tell people why I use sidereal astrology over Western. I'm waiting for someone to tell me why they use Western astrology over sidereal, and I would listen. You know,
if we was on a boat, we would have to use sidereal astrology.
If we were on a plane, we would have to use sidereal astrology because we're dealing with the actual spaces and times of the actual placements. So we have to know our meridian points. We have to know our location.
So it's like you got parental advisory and then the edited version.
Yeah, it's the edited version, and it's the same song. It's the same song, but you know, when you ready to hit that F and it's just like nothing, don't you instantly cut that song off and be like, yo?
Yeah. It don't get the same effect.
It ain't hitting the same.
Yeah, it ain't hitting the same. Yeah. Hey, ain't no Little John song hitting the same as it's hitting with the lyrics explicit. Shout out to Uncle Luke for that.
And then I guess
wouldn't even have that without it. That's history right there, man. Wouldn't even have no parental advisory, man. That man paid the way for everybody with the parental advisory stickers.
Man. And another thing, because somebody just asked about True North. Another thing about astrology is that it's extremely convoluted and extremely confusing based upon everybody has an interpretation and an understanding of astrology. And so we reference True North and nodal astrology within our conversation. I started this video off in referencing the nodal axis, and then I came in the middle, and we're going to end in representing what it means to really deal with the Rahu and Ketu in this particular position and what it means to us. And Honcho can speak to that as well, but it's all different forms of astrology, and I wouldn't never accept one form of astrology over another astrology without actually studying it. And I guess me and Honcho came to the same conclusion, not because we agree with each other, because as y'all can listen, we have different points and different points of view. So we are two independent thinkers.
Even to get here, we had to get to an agreement that this is what it is. But to answer that True North question, I deal with the mathematics of it because I really want to know how they came up with it. So I like kind of pride myself on trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You could find true north with Vedic as well. Like I said, sailors. There is no such thing as a north with a sailor. So
What you mean by that?
Ah, man, bro. Okay, so
You gonna have to enlighten the people, man. We don't be knowing everything like that.
In my most layman's terms, because I've never sail.
True.
I've never been a part of anybody's navy, and I have definitely never been on no open waters. But from what I have researched from sailors, true north can be found from certain star constellations that don't move at all.
Fixed stars.
Correct.
Okay.
You have a true north of the south, which is the cross that the Christians speak about their Christ dying on. It's spelled Crux. Oh man, you see, I don't want to break everybody, spirit tonight. And then you got the north, the polar north, which is Polaris, which points you in the direction of north.
It does.
So now, if north on the southern hemisphere is not exactly the same north as the northern hemisphere, it's flipped
because you're on a different hemisphere in a different parallel. So my north is now a different north. So break down true north. How do we determine true north regardless of our hemispheric condition, or is there no such thing?
No. True north is pointing to the direction of where you're going. Like what? Like north is not a thing. It's really
it don't exist. It don't exist.
North is like your back, like what's behind you. Can you see what's behind you without turning around?
And then if I turn around, it's no longer behind me, and so my north is different because I've changed my perspective.
Exactly. So north really
doesn't
like the
exist.
Direction that's behind you. North does not exist.
So in order to travel, one has to navigate by the stars.
Correct.
That's the only way one can understand where they're at. Based upon that's why you got a compass, and then you ever turned around with your compass and you turn it around, but your compass is trying to recalculate and recalibrate and figure out what the fuck what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because it's trying to calculate its position based upon your perspective. That's powerful, bro. I was just trying to ask you questions to bring it into full context for our audience so they could understand what you was actually breaking down. Because if they decoded and understood what you just broke down, you just kind of like put it down on a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just powerful.
To the Moon and Taurus with the Akashic Records. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't have done it with, don't give me no credit. I'm a vessel. But right on, man. I hope they can decode that. But that's some valuable information to know.
It is.
Crux, Polaris, True North being fake North, and South. You know what I'm saying? When Harriet Tubman told you to travel north, he really meant south.
Ooh.
Boy, let's go, bro. Let's get out of here.
Bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You gonna get me demonetized. Hey, man. It's been fun, man. It's the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at the Hood Mystic. I got my main man. We'll be here next Wednesday, Honcho. Follow him on Instagram at Honcho Buildinair. You know what I'm saying? It's a major play on words, but that's what we're doing here, playing on words in a major way, building in a tangible way, Moon and Taurus. I hope you gathered some valuable information. We shared a lot of information, and And all of this expression of information, the whole time he was thinking about you, the audience. So hopefully you was able to receive this positive energy and take it with you in your lives. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Be sure to share this video. Tell somebody. Wednesdays, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. They go in on astrology, and it's confusing at first, but it's interesting enough that I want to stick with it and continue to learn and continue to build. And that's what we're here for. We're building in the air. So peace to everybody, man. Honcho, you got anything you want to say?
XRP, Bitcoin, consider it.
We're going to have to do a whole episode on that, big bro.
I'm just trying to entice you for next week, man. XRP and Bitcoin. Also, that's it. Yeah, tune in next week.
Next week we'll be right here doing the same thing. So thank y'all for riding with us. See y'all next week, man. But I'll see y'all before that. But me and Honcho see y'all next week. Peace.